Hey, Greysteel Nation. Sully here with the Barbell Prescription. And we have a question from our longtime friend and patron of Greysteel, or POG, Ed Clem. And he asks, is there a way to specifically train our recovery ability? Recovery ability limits how much we can train and live our lives. The Barbell Prescription discusses how to recover best from training. Is our recovery ability fixed? Can recovery be improved? Hey Ed, it's always great to hear from you. And this is a great question. So here's the short answer. Recovery ability is not fixed. It's a dynamic and adaptable physiological capacity, much like strength itself, or endurance or flexibility. Rather than being fixed, recovery is always undergoing a sort of dynamic evolution. It's always, improving or declining, with the opposing forces of aging and healthy lifestyle producing a sort of dynamic equilibrium. And the beauty of this is that the very act of progressive overload, which is central to barbell training, implicitly trains and improves the body's recovery machinery. I mean, that's part of why we're doing it. Training improves our capacity to absorb stress, including training stress, and to recover from that stress as part of the training cycle itself. I have observed this myself in an implicit way in my clinical practice here at Greysteel. And of course, our recovery capacities are optimized by all the things: adequate sleep, nutrition, hydration, active rest, and stress reduction. It's constantly influenced by this multitude of factors, as you rightly pointed out, with aging and lifestyle. Now for the long answer. Consider the stress recovery adaptation model, which is the cornerstone of how we think about training. And as we've said many times, and at least a dozen times in the book, the linchpin of the entire process is recovery. I remember the first time I ever read the line in Ripito, you don't get stronger by lifting weights. You get stronger by recovering from lifting weights. Those two sentences changed my entire world forever. So we can definitely improve our recovery capacity. Training itself is a driver of recovery capacity. How? By improving mitochondrial biogenesis, by improving cardiovascular function, by enhancing hormonal responses, by improving neuromuscular efficiency, and just generally making you physiologically and psychologically accustomed to stress. So that's the impact of training itself, which improves our capacity to recover. But then there's also your attention to the recovery phase. And here, of course, I'm like a broken frickin' record. Sleep, nutrition, pre-workout carbs, post-workout protein, hydration, active recovery, active rest, stress management, you name it. How do you improve your recovery? By improving your recovery. I've said it a million times, guys. Exercise is part of a healthy lifestyle. But because of the central importance of recovery and the impact of almost everything we do on our recovery, training is a healthy lifestyle. It's the lifestyle of the athlete. And it's easy to see how recovery is the most multifactorial and complex of all the training variables. There's, so many factors to investigate and train and optimize. So Does magnesium threonate help you sleep? You should use it if it does. You shouldn't if it doesn't. What's your best stress reduction? Medication, yoga, worship, walks in the park, Tai Chi. Figure out which strategies work for you and do them. Are you getting enough fiber? Are you getting enough love, let's say? Are you getting enough sunshine? Enough mental stimulation, connection with friends and family? When you start to look at your lifestyle through the lens of being an athlete of aging, you can get a lot of clarity. So let's look at some specifics that are particularly relevant for us as athletes of aging. Number one, individualized programming and auto-regulation. So that's huge. Optimal recovery for one guy in a particular demographic may be overtraining for another geezer or geezette in a different demographic, or even the same demographic, because older athletes are a more heterogeneous population. And just like exercises and sets and reps, recovery has to be individualized. Now, we know from experience that virtually any athlete can handle training 2 days a week, but we can still optimize recovery further by adjusting rest intervals, by active rest, like walking, practice and play of your sport, naps, protein and carb intake, all of that. This is where it's critical to have both a gym log and a life log, and where having a coach is just invaluable. Number two in my notes here, intermittent deloads and light days. Athletes of aging finish the novice linear progression sooner, and they need sooner institution of light and medium days. In other words, they require intermediate programming for most of their training careers. Number three, inflammaging and nutrition. So this concept of inflammaging, which is like chronic low-grade inflammation associated with accelerated aging processes, can impede recovery. And that's a whole video in itself. And this field is still relatively young, but we can already say very confidently that there are ways to make inflammaging worse. Stress, junk food, poor sleep, alcohol, tobacco, right? Who knew, right? Proper recovery, which includes fresh foods, freshly prepared, with lots of fruits and vegetables, avoidance of toxins, and aggressive, if I can call it that, an aggressive anti-stress regimen, these all decrease systemic inflammation and its acceleration of aging. And one more thing about this. Take care of your teeth. Chronic dental and gum disease definitely seems to promote systemic inflammation and cardiocerebral vascular aging. So deal with that. Number four, hormonal considerations. So training optimizes endogenous hormones, but still some older adults may have clinical deficiencies that significantly impair their recovery. So like low testosterone in men or thyroid issues. This is way beyond the scope of coaching practice. This is where it's important to find a doctor that's hip to what you do and how you live. And the next is the gut microbiome. Emerging research highlights the gut microbiome's role in overall health, including inflammation and immune function and nutrient absorption. And of course, all of those impact recovery. So a diverse, healthy gut microbiome supported by a diet rich in fiber and fermented foods may indirectly enhance your recovery capacity. And then finally, social, physical, and intellectual engagement. This is sort of about stress reduction, but it's really, in a way, the whole thing. Athletes train for the event. And in the case of the athlete of aging, that's you and me, you're training for the arena of life and for the second half or even the last quarter of the game. The game has to mean something to you. You've got to take strength and conditioning out of the gym and go play. That means friends, family, sports, intellectual or artistic pursuits. You get the picture. We're training for life. Go out and live it. The recovery potential of just living life as fully as you can is not to be dismissed. So thanks again, Ed, for a great question. To sum it up, the beauty of it is that the very act of progressive overload, which is central to training itself, implicitly trains and improves the body's recovery machinery. So just by training, you're going to get better at recovering. So again, folks, we pretty much retired our website-based question submissions, and with very few exceptions, we're taking questions from our patrons only now. You can become a patron, like Ed, a POG, for just pennies a day. All you have to do is go over to patreon.com/Greysteel. And that helps us do things like make these videos. And we appreciate our patrons immensely. So thanks to all of you. Okay, gang, that's a wrap until next time. Stay strong and stay healthy.